Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to open the meeting this evening. Thank you all for being here on an evening like tonight. Appreciate it very much. So welcome. And we'll get started. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll please stand and join me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first thing on the agenda is you'll be able to witness the oath of office for two of our trustees. So I'll turn it over to our clerk to let her give the oath.
I'd ask Hurley Decker and Geraldine Lewis stand. You do have your trustee oath of office in front of you. And if you can raise your right hand and swear under oath. State that statement
Together.
I do swear that I, Hurley Decker, support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and the laws of the state of Idaho, and that I will faithfully discharge all the duties of the office of trustee of Lake Pend Oreille School District Number 84 in Bonner County, state of Idaho, according to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Nice going.
Congratulations.
We did it again.
Did it again.
It was a tough election. but
Yes, it was.
Thanks.
It was a tough
Thanks,
election,
Mom.
yes.
Way to go.
Thank you. Thank you, Hurley.
Proud of you guys.
Curly ran unopposed, that's why we're
Hurley
joking
did,
about a tough election.
Yeah.
I didn't even get a chance to vote for myself.
The next thing we have on the agenda is to approve the agenda as we published.
I would make a motion that we approve the agenda as published.
I second that.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as published. Any comment? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion is carried. Thank you. Do we have anybody signed up to speak tonight? No. Are there any members of the audience that would like to say anything for public comment at this time? Okay, in that case, we'll move on. We're very lucky and privileged to have Fireman Sidwell here with us, the principal, and some of their students. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Eric Olson.
Thank you and good evening, Board of Trustees. It's a pleasure to be here. We kind of started this tradition last year, I believe, maybe a couple years ago, where elementary schools have the opportunity to highlight things that make them unique. And last time I talked about Fireman Sidwell is unique in the fact that we house a lot of different special programs, life skills classroom, behavior intervention classroom, etc. And so as I was talking with Ms. D'Alessio, we were thinking, golly, what really makes us unique and sets us apart from other elementary schools in the district? And I'll tell you, it was hard because we had so many things that really do set us apart and really so many things that make us proud. And I want to highlight several of those first, but then I want to land on something, a really cool one that happened this year. So, and by the way, moms and dads, students, thank you for coming and braving the treacherous weather. So we appreciate it. First of all, Fireman Sidwell is awesome. It's awesome, and here's what makes it awesome. Number one, this year we've got a really great relationship with our partners in education. We call it PI. It's not PTO or PTA. We call it PI. For those of you that are kind of hung up on some of those acronyms. This year we decided to try a new fundraising event at our school. It's called Boosterthon, and it involves running. And I love running. So I said, yeah, we're in. Let's do it. The fundraiser itself, we were projected to make about $8,000. And Boosterthon said they guarantee, based on our socioeconomic status, our school population, etc., they guaranteed that we would make $8,000. And I said to my PI president, I said, no way. No way. What a pessimist. And she said, Eric, that's what they said. I said, okay, let's do it. We're doing it. We started the event. It's a week-long event. students go out and get pledges from their mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, etc. By the first day, we had raised about $8,000. And by the second day, we were about $10,000. And so we talked to our little rep at Boosterthon, and she said, you guys, you should probably up your goal. And we said, oh, okay, well, we can up our goal. So we continued throughout the week to up our goal. And when it was all said and done, we raised over $25,000 for a one-week event. And kudos to our families and to our students who really went above and beyond. And it wasn't just about raising funds. Students weren't going door to door, although some were. They were actually walking to school and knocking on the neighbor's door. And I got a phone call about 7:30 in the morning to really discourage students walking and knocking on doors at 7:30 in the morning. But it was a valiant effort nonetheless. What was really cool about the Boosterthon, though, is that every day there was a value, caring, kindness, bullying. There was that type of value that was presented to the kids in a sort of movie theme type of scenario, if you will. So really cool. We're doing it again next year. It was awesome. In addition to that, PI and the partnership that we have, we partnered early on in the school year with Washington, and I know Mrs. Hamer is here. We partnered with Washington Elementary to have the first ever outdoor movie night. So that was a collaborative effort between our schools, particularly our parent groups. Awesome. We've never done that before. Huge success, yes?
Yes.
Yes, huge success. So that was really cool. We started a lot of service learning projects. In particular, you may have read in the Bee, our kindergarten teachers and their reading buddies partnered with the animal shelter, where they provided handmade blankets for all the cats and dogs at the animal shelter. Awesome. Again, community collaborative effort. Awesome. And they continue, as well as many of our other grade levels, to find those types of learning, service learning projects in the community. Number 3, we were blessed and lucky enough to receive a grant from PAVE this year in the tune of $5,500. That grant went towards the creation of a makerspace. So we have 3 3D printers, we have a t-shirt press, we've got drones, we've got these little things called breakout EDUs, which I won't get into right now, but we have that up and running. Well, it's not really up and running, it's this process, but we have it, which is awesome. I'm going to skip the next one and go on to this to another piece. We have wonderful collaborative partnerships, in particular Rotaract, working with Rotary and with the creation of buddy benches. That's been really awesome. So I'm working with Liam Morton on that. Right before Christmas break, we did a half day, give or take a couple hours, called Passion Days, where we really wanted to find something else for our kids to do, something that they were interested in, and recognize the strength of our teachers. So some of the classes that we did throughout the day include Spanish, yoga, robotics, coding, readers theater, math games, and we got a lot of great feedback from our students, and kids really choosing their interests. So that was great. We'll continue to do that. And finally, you might not know this, but I think it's something that should be applauded as well. We do have an applicant right now at Farmers-Tidwell who's been nominated for the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math and Science in teaching. That is one of the highest honors for teachers in the area of science, math, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So we got a lot of great things going on there that really set us apart and things that we're doing this year. But I want to go back to this one right here. Kindness Club. We have a second grader right now who came to Miss D'Alessio and I and said, I want to start a kindness club. And about this time of the year, we start to ramp up the efforts of kindness. We do it every day, but the skies are gray and it's kind of, So we had a second grader that Betsy and I are working with, who is heading up a kindness club. And we had our first meeting today with about 33 students in attendance. We're going to have daily challenges, monthly challenges, and just extending this simple thing of kindness. And that leads me to what I really want to highlight for Farmers-Tidwell, and that's the area of really building relationships. And this year, we have incorporated at Farmington something called teams, and this image captured in your mind. Okay, teams. Teams, as we all know, is this acronym of together everyone achieves more. I had to ask when my gym teacher and counselor said, we want to do teams. So I kind of pretended like I knew what I was doing, and I said, great! And then I said, I really want to highlight teams at the board meeting in January. What's teams again? Together everyone achieves more. I'm like, oh yeah, I knew that. I knew that. That's what it is. Together everyone achieves more. Essentially what teams is it's this collaborative effort between our physical education teacher, Miss Longstreet, our counselor, Miss Marilee Kleiber, and our classroom teachers, in particular this first time around 5th and 6th grade classes. Students are immersed in this myriad of team building activities where they are expected to problem solve, communicate, and work together as a team. These lifelong skills that really, truly make an impact in everyday life. After the activity, time is spent in a circle with Miss Kleiber, Miss Longstreet, and the classroom teacher, and it's spent on reflection. And the activity, that reflection is led by both of those teachers to start talking about how could we have worked better together, et cetera, et cetera. How do we fit this in the course of our busy day? We've made an effort to make sure that this is done. It's what's important to us. So 45 minutes, 1 day a week, our classrooms are in the gym doing these types of activities. Here's a brief snippet. Of course, there's a goal, there's a challenge. One other one that I observed was the group had a tarp, and they had to get on the tarp, and together they had to flip the tarp over without using their hands.
Right. And not.
You could imagine
Yep.
the conversation that happened.
That's great.
Pretty cool. I wanted to share a couple of the quotes that the teachers in particular, I'll highlight some 5th grade teachers, but some of the quotes from the teachers on what this activity and what this has meant for them as a classroom teacher. But most importantly, I want the students that are here tonight to understand that I didn't nominate you guys for this. Your teachers did. Because you've made such a wonderful, it's been such a great impact, and you might not know it, but the impact that you've made in your classroom has been noticed by your teachers. So kudos to you, and that's what's really the coolest thing. Mr. Holland, who's Mr. Holland's kiddos? All right, this is what Mr. Holland said. The best part of teams is the chance we get to have kids step outside of their friend groups and work with peers that they may not know at all. I am always amazed to see how easily my class pushes their comfort zones simply by stepping into this new environment. I appreciate that the experience offers an opportunity for all of our kids to talk about real and sometimes hard issues in a safe and easy way. And they don't even realize that they're working. That's so cool. Mr. Holland has recognized, and you guys don't have to come up yet, Mr. Holland has recognized these 3 individuals, and maybe you just stand and give us a, hey, hi, I'm here. Carson Russo. Carson, can you stand up? I told Carson he's got to have a speech ready, but he said no. I said, you look pretty then. Carson, Ryan, and Sienna. Here is what your teacher said about you. Carson is one student that really seems to transform when he goes to teams. And you become a better, and you become this animated leader. I love student leadership. I love student leadership. I love it. Carson, way to go, buddy. You can sit. Yeah, Ryan, by nature, Ryan is super quiet, really, really shy. Guess what, Ryan? This is what your teacher saw in you. You've stepped out of that and have become such a fantastic vocal leader. And you know what? I'd love to say that today Ryan took the math. I'm just going to show this. Ryan took her math test today. Her goal in math was 222. Don't worry about the number. That was her winter goal. She scored today a 233. Good job. Awesome. So Ryan, I'm like, Ryan, that's all because of teams and you're becoming a leader. I don't know if it is. Good job. Sienna has stepped outside of her comfort zone with friends, which is super hard to do, isn't it? Super hard. You've stepped outside of that comfort zone, Sienna, and you have demonstrated some wonderful leadership skills. So kudos to you. Mr. Murray is a 5th grade teacher. This is what he says about teams. Teams reinforces the idea that one person's actions can have either a positive or negative effect on the whole group. This idea has really completed his classroom culture. Fantastic. And you can go in his classroom and everybody's working together. And that's the expectation. It's the norm. So Mr. Murray has highlighted these students that he has seen some tremendous growth when it comes to leadership. So Sawyer Lee is here. Sawyer, stand up, please. So Sawyer, this is what Mr. Murray said about you. She continues to work hard and sets great examples in class. She and others are role models who help our class be more productive. Way to go. Way to be a leader. Bryce, nice to see you, buddy. I'm glad you guys made it. Bryce, this is what Mr. Murray has said about you. And this is through teams. Remember teams? You're working together. Do you like it? It's pretty fun. It's hard. It can be hard sometimes, listening to everybody's ideas. When you want everyone to take your idea, it can be hard, can't it? Bryce, this is what Mr. Murray had said about you. Bryce has shared that teams has really reinforced the importance of perseverance. Right? He is somebody who has persevered in school and has made tremendous gains, especially in math. And I've seen single-handedly exactly what he's talking about in you. Good job, brother. Mrs. Dvorak is our other 5th grade teacher, and she has said that my students told me that this opportunity is the one time where they don't feel pressure on themselves as individuals. Whoa! That's pretty powerful. They decided to add trust each other as a class norm because they have learned that other people can help them accomplish their goals. And as I say to our teachers, we cannot do this job alone. I cannot do this job alone. You cannot do this job alone. We have to be there for each other. We have to be vulnerable. And that's pretty powerful. Medea, by golly, we got everybody here tonight. Loki, you just made my day. Stand up, my friend. Medea, here's what Mrs. Dvorak has said about you. She said that Medea has always had great ideas, but sometimes a hard time communicating them. Right? She has found her voice as a member of our little community in our classroom through teams. It's pretty nice. Loki, here's what Mrs. Dvorak said about you. Loki has found patience with others, as we all know that working in a group can be extremely frustrating. He has risen to the challenge of approaching each peer as a valuable member of our team. Cool. Good job. Let's hear it for my 7 awesome students. Like, what's really cool about these 7 kiddos right here, they're the kids that just kind of, they just kind of fly under the radar. They're just doing their thing. And so we really want to do, I'm glad that our teachers recognize that we're recognizing our kids that don't always get recognized. So kudos to all of you. And finally, I'll just close with a couple of quotes from Ms. Longstreet as well as Ms. Kleiber, who really are the instrumental pieces behind this idea. Ms. Longstreet says she's noticed that students in all classes have improved their cooperative attitude towards each other. When students are grouped for the activity, they're willing to participate with everyone in their groups without complaint, At the start of the team building session, the class made a contract of agreements on how they want to treat each other. A couple of times, she's even heard students refer back to those agreements when they're having a conflict in gym class. Pretty awesome. Here's a picture of, here's a picture of Miss Kleiber and Mr. Holland right there, and Miss Longstreet, just having a little reflection time with things that went well, things that didn't go well, what were you frustrated about, just that dialogue that happens, and quite frankly, it needs to happen. And I think, you know, as teachers, we expect kids to come into our classroom early, and we expect them to work in a group, right? Well, what do you mean? You're a sixth grader, you should know how to work in a group. Well, they don't. And this really provides that avenue for these kids to really do that. And finally, Ms. Kleiber says, when asking students what they learned, either about themselves or something surprising and wonderful about a classmate or their class as a whole, the responses were very, very insightful. One student said she didn't know a particular student that well. And they were even in 4th grade together. They weren't really friends. After participating in teams, the students discovered they had things in common and began a new friendship. Pretty awesome. So we're really excited and happy about what Pharmaceutical is doing. And this is just one of those unique opportunities that we're able to give to our kids. So thank you, you munchkins. Let's hear it.
Thank you very much. We'd like to have the students that were recognized, please come forward here. And we would like to meet you, and we would also like to give you a certificate. So if you're just please file over here on this end. And this may be the worst part for you, you have to shake our hand.
Just give a second until everybody gets up here. Yes, on this. Okay. Hi, guys. So I just have these in alphabetical order from first name. So Bryce Lee. Congratulations. Congratulations. Carson Resso. Congratulations, Carson. Good job. Loki Paul Zaffel. Sorry, Loki. Congratulations. Medea Moon. Good job. Good job, Medea. Ryan Ward. Good job, Ryan. Congratulations. Sawyer Lee.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Thanks for doing such a good job.
Sienna Todd Murray. Congratulations. Oh, you're going to shake my hand, too.
Thank you very much.
Do we want
Yep.
all the students?
If we could get to all the students, and of
Oh,
course,
yeah, we weren't supposed to let
we'd
you
like to
go.
have a picture right here.
Bring your certificates and come up for a photo.
We have a professional photographer here to take a picture.
Oh, yeah.
Here. Just for a second.
Oh, yeah. I don't know where to look.
Hey, 1, 2, 3, cheese! Thank you.
We're going to take a short break here. For those that may want to exit before the rest of the meeting, they're welcome to do so. You're also welcome to do so. You have to.
Nice job. I know, you emptied the place out.
It's not personal.
I know, we feel that way. It happens to us every time. But on a night like tonight,
You talking about me? What'd I say?
presented to you guys last year this time, there was a full force snowstorm.
Yeah.
Coming
Yes.
over at the same
See,
time.
it's because you're at our first meeting here of the year.
First meeting of the year. Just really trying to keep our, it was presented last time as well when we came.
Oh, really?
Full.
You got them 2 years in a row?
We should just hang out every
Yeah.
January meeting.
Make it a date. Get us on there next year.
You have to reconvene us.
Yeah, we'll reconvene and move on. The next item we have, of course, is the
It's just you and me now.
Forestburg School presentation, and we're very happy to have
My wife's birthday.
Mary Jensen, and nice to have you back.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you, guys.
See ya.
I have to laugh now that Eric's leaving. One of my teachers is completely excited about Gaga Ball now that Eric has put in the rounds at Farman Stidwell for
Yeah.
use. He's like, Jennifer, we got to do Gaga Ball. I'm like, really working.
What is
What is it? I know. I asked the same thing when I saw it being put in. I'm like going,
Yeah, Dave leans on a mission.
That's great.
What is it?
I'm not entirely sure. It's played in a circle or kind of an octagon, and it has high boards. It's a style of foursquare when you would pass the ball to each other, but it's got to stay in the circle, and they've got to kind of work together as they make it happen. And there's points for it going out. There's points for it hitting the board.
Play in the gym?
no.
No, you got to play it outside.
Outside in the playground.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
In the winter?
in this big.
Well, I don't know if they keep it shoveled or not. I'm not sure. I haven't been to the back. It's on the back side of the playground at Farm and Stidwell.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I walked over to check it out just so I could get a visual of it.
Visual of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks really neat. So I just think it's right. I have to tease it. Eric and Matt.
Gaga ball.
Dave's on a mission.
I know, it's a little
Wait,
wobbly.
there's still
We're
videotape.
here. We care.
We stayed.
Look at how many of us stayed for you.
And just remember this videotape. So.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Oh, it's not.
No. it's not.
So this is Forestburg Charter School's annual report. I'm Mary Jensen, and I'm the charter administrator, and this is my cohort in crime, Jennifer Lee. And we're co-leaders, so we work together. I talked to Tom. He said let's keep it nice and short, 10 minutes or so, since it's not performance certificate year. It's
True.
just our authorization annual meeting that we need to do. So does anybody have any questions? Because I think most of you guys have been here before, but any questions about authorizing a charter school or what that means to you guys?
Well, yeah, okay. Tell me if I'm wrong here. I mean, you were one of the first charter applications in the state.
Yes.
And at that time, charter schools were authorized by the local school district.
Yes.
Okay, since then, state laws changed, and now charters can be issued directly by the Department of Education. But yet you have your charter through us still.
This is what we talked about last year.
It was when Sean Wonwood was here, that was part of the whole process, the investigation with the commission, long talks with Sean, and it just was deemed to make the most sense for our small community to keep it within the community versus people who are, very far away from us and not really knowing. And you guys know us. Tom was just at our school recently. You know our kids. It just made a whole lot more sense.
Right.
And you're correct, the law did change a little bit, but schools can still be, new charters can still be authorized by their local school districts or by a university or college entity, which there are none right now in
So
Idaho.
that's, okay, yeah. Okay, so you, obviously, you're
It's
still,
optional,
you're
yeah.
still accredited through us, and
Yes.
we're glad to have you. But,
Yeah.
since they changed the law and charters are now issued by the Department of Education, I think the vast majority of the new charters have applied directly to the Department of Ed.
Right, through the commission,
Through
the
the
charter
Commission,
commission.
through the commission, okay?
Yep.
Well, we're glad you stayed accredited with us.
And I am glad too.
It's a good
because
relationship.
Here's a while ago, we were called the red-headed stepchild, which is funny because she's red-headed and sometimes acts like a child, but I love her. We were once called the red-headed stepchild of Lake Ponderay School District, and it was time for us to move out of the basement, which was also funny because we don't have a basement. But working, building relationships and finding this as a collaborative effort. Tom was a fairly new principal at that time. Jennifer and I were new. I was so thankful that we built such a nice relationship that I don't feel like that you guys consider us that way, and we don't feel that way anymore
Right.
either. So
Good.
that's the last 7 years that we've been working towards that, and I'm so thankful for this wonderful relationship.
Yeah.
After hearing some contentious relationships with charters and their authorizers, so this is really nice. Thank you. And I have a question for you, Mr. Kelly. How's the dogs?
The dog. Yes. Yeah, well, I think we need dogs in every classroom, you know, as well as other areas. But, yeah, at the last conference we went to, there was a presentation of using dogs in the classroom, and, you know, the Bird School had one, and they had some films and some, you know, what the rules, the regulations, what the problems you have when you go through that. And Mary was the teacher giving the class, and it was very good. And she brought the dogs, a couple of dogs with her, but it was very good.
It was really fun to have Mr. Kelly there at that presentation.
Yeah.
Now for do we have any more questions about being an authorizer?
Just one clarification. I believe last year we did the authorization. Is that correct? And it was done for 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years.
So it's not an annual authorization, but it would be for 5 years.
Right, for
Yeah.
the performance certificate. Before it
Right.
was 3 years, we could go up to 5 years.
Okay.
And we thought it was easier just to.
Yeah.
And just to clarify that just a little further, one of the agreements within the performance certificate is that we will come yearly
Yeah.
Right.
and give you information on
And
our
update,
audit
yeah.
and what have you, but we don't have to actually look at the performance certificate for 5 years.
Yeah.
And the yearly presentation is part of the law, so
Yeah.
that's,
So it's provided.
Okay.
thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
So our audit went very well again this year. Just as a reminder, PTAC, it's formal, PTAC, it's kind of going away, was under our 501(c). So it was within our audit reports, even though none of the grants from PTAC came into the school, which some people get confused when they see our audit and think we have a ton of money, but a lot of that's PTAC. So when we present to you, we take PTAC out so you can have a more accurate view of the school itself. So just as last year, most of our funding comes from the State Department at 93.62%. 6% is federal and local is 0.35%. Again, we don't have a lot of grants or other funding that come through locally, which is fine because I think we do a pretty outstanding job with what we have. But one of the misnomers that you guys heard before is the Bird Foundation does not give us money, and we do it purposely to truly honor the name of Dr. Bird. We ask them not to. Not that we wouldn't say no, but we ask them not to. Most of our budget goes to instruction with 58%, support 30%, capital objects, that's our computers and whatnot, and our debt services are mainly our buildings. So the dip there, if you remember, is when Jennifer and I
Inherited.
and then this is what we have built. This is the amount of funds in our bank accounts during the time of the audit. So I do not want that confused with the amount of money we have in what's called the contingency fund. and that's the amount of money we must save in there for emergency years. And that, at the minimum is 600,000, we're sitting at about 630,000, so we're doing okay with that. We're right where we were. We were way below when we first took over, and we're getting letters of growing concern, which is really bad for a charter school and could lead to a closure. So we were able to rebound from that. Our enrollment is down this year, just a bit, and there's a reason. We have in the middle school 142 students, in the high school 176, with a total of 318. This time last year we had 322 students. So when you hear what happened, I'm pretty happy with the 318.
Yeah.
Actually, we worked with a program called Northwoods, and it was a private therapeutic boys boarding school. We were allowed for a while to, because the parents had signed over guardianship to the school, we were able to count them as Idaho students, but that had changed last year, and we were notified that even though the guardianship was turned over, we could no longer count them as Idaho students, and that the program had to pay us per student a certain amount of money per month, which was fine for us, but not fine for them because they couldn't afford it. They're a small boarding school. So unfortunately, for their own financial gain and to be able to keep their own program going, they had to go to a different educational area, which we lost 20 students when that happened. And so this is why I say losing 20 high school students and being at 318 and we are at 322 last year,
It's
that's
still
pretty good to try to
Sorry,
recover.
could you explain that again?
Yeah, what exactly?
The 20 students that you
The
lost,
20,
why?
the 20 students were in a program with Northwoods of Idaho, and those 20 students are not coming to our school anymore because the program couldn't afford the amount of money that an out-of-state student needed to pay to come to a school.
So, I'm sorry, they weren't considered Idaho residents?
No.
Even though the families had given guardianship to the counselors.
It's because the families aren't residents of
Right.
Idaho.
Families
It's
are
just part of the
out-of-state.
public school. It's part of the, you have to pay if you come to
I'm
out-of-state
not
public
disagreeing
school
with
or charter.
the
Well,
reason.
we have
Yeah.
foreign exchange students.
They come,
Yeah, that's a different, and
they come through a program. If they come
And they
through a
pay.
program, Gary, then we count average daily attendance. If they're a direct placement, then they must pay full tuition,
Right.
which is anywhere between $8,000 to $9,000 at this point in time. So
Yes.
these students would have been placed in that same situation where they would have had to pay the full tuition.
Right.
right.
And it makes sense because their parents are not taxpayers to Idaho State. So in the long run, it does make sense, the rationale on why we need to pay in. Before we were able to have them become wards of somebody who does pay taxes here, but that has now been reworked. Now we can't do that anymore.
And if a foreign exchange student comes over as an F1, then they're counted within our student enrollment. If they're a J1, then they would have to be a direct, we would have to bill them.
And
And
that's
we
the
try
same
to,
process.
we try to avoid that. So,
Because there's a lot more paperwork.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make a little more sense?
I'm a little cloudy, but I know a lot more
But
than
we'll
I
move
did
on.
5 minutes
But
ago.
we'll move on.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and continue.
Okay, thank you.
30, 20.
So our hopes is that we're going to recover that many students in the next 2 years. Most of the students coming into the school are coming out of a homeschool situation, or they're coming from out-of-state people moving in, and those out-of-state people moving in are already associated with the charter schools, so they were looking specifically with charter schools within the town. We really focus on growth rather than if they're basic, proficient, advanced on their ISAT test. So I'm showing you growth because we get the kids 6th grade, so we take and move them forward or try to. So you can see how these have changed. English language arts, 68% of our kids established growth school-wide. and math growth was down from 49% to 40%. But I do want to say that is not uncommon statewide in mathematics. Statewide growth and ISAT scores went down last year, so comparatively low rate with the other schools.
What grade level?
This is the average between 6 to
10.
10.
Oh, so you average them together.
68% of your kids are proficient, is that what they're saying?
You know that they've shown growth.
Growth. Good growth.
They've improved from their, on their
I mean,
own.
how much growth? I mean,
So
program
growth is-
growth or just any growth?
Oh,
And
so
accreditation.
this is interesting because growth is, you thought the last thing was it complicated? Growth is even more complicated. So growth is that a student is supposed to be at a certain number at a certain grade level. So they take the sixth grader and say by 10th grade they're supposed to be at this level. And then they divide that within the years they have to get to that level. And so if the kid meets that, well, the individual kid meets that growth for that year, they're counted as somebody who's made growth.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're meeting their program growth,
Yeah.
Okay.
expected growth.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Graduation rate, like I said last year, that it seemed really low, but one kid can drop you out really fast when you only have 38 kids graduating. So last year was 81%, and this year I'm anticipating 78.8%. And that's it. Unless you have
That's very good.
No, thank
you
you.
have-
You're doing
I
a good
appreciate
job,
that,
yeah.
Like an alternative school now, I mean, we have kids that are in their 5th year, and we're starting to track their success in their 5th year. Do you also have that?
We don't very often have fifth-year students. This year, we had 2 fifth-year students, and they're both graduating in their 5th year. Most of the time, if they need additional years, the students and the parents would try to get them to graduation a little earlier, so they look at the alternative school, Kootenai Bridges, where they can have a faster track towards getting all their classes done. We don't like sending them, we don't like losing our kids, but if it's best for the kids, we have to get to the best place for them. The year before, we also had 2 fifth-year students and 1 graduated, 1 dropped.
Well, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
It's nice to
Yeah,
see you
thank you.
again. Keep up
Jennifer
the,
didn't do any of the
keep up the
presentation.
good work.
I just thought I'd come and look pretty for y'all.
With a support team.
You're right, right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Take care of them.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, I'll be back.
Thank you.
So thanks, Jennifer.
I know, I want to come over and
Thanks,
play with the
Jennifer.
dogs.
Nice to see you. I gotta get back in. See, I know. I haven't come by for a while. Okay, I'll send an email and maybe there's a time I can come over and say something interesting.
We've got, and
I
we got
know.
Mary's puppy, and then we have a new math one, a new puppy, the 7th grade math, and then our counselor's working on her puppy.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Well, we'll move on to
Okay.
action items that we have now. And the first thing I'd like to do is dissolve the current Board of Trustees. And by doing so, I'll turn this over and dissolve it to our superintendent.
Done.
Can you feel the power in that?
There's the power right there.
Yep.
So at this time, I will call for nominations for board chairman.
I would like to make a nomination that we re-elect Carrie Kelly as our board chair.
Second.
Are there any other nominations?
Any arm wrestles? What does he have to do?
Okay.
See your handshake.
I'll now take a roll call vote. Please state aye or no. The first nominee with the majority of vote is going to be elected. Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Supiger.
Aye.
Trustee Decker.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
And I guess Trustee
Aye.
Kelly. Aye.
Yeah, you have to vote for yourself.
So, Trustee Kelly is elected board chair. I'm now handing the meeting back over to board chair.
Thank you.
You didn't even.
Thank you.
Once.
Oh, yeah, here,
You
one
better
time.
use it.
One time.
Well, it's supposed to be on the head.
I guess I'm gonna break that.
Thank you very much. And thank my
Okay.
fellow trustees, thank you very much. Appreciate your confidence.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Okay, now, first order of business here, we would like to, I'll take nominations for election for vice chairman.
I nominate trustee Lewis.
Are there any other nominations? Or if there are no other further nominations, we'll have a roll call vote for Geraldine Lewis.
Do you need a
as-
second on those nominations?
Yeah,
No.
I
Okay.
just did it.
yeah.
Oh, you did it just for kicks. Okay.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote, trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Superger?
Aye.
Trustee Decker?
Aye.
Trustee Lewis?
Aye.
Trustee Kelly?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that is affirmed and passed, and congratulations,
Thank you.
Vice Chairman.
Thank you.
Way to go.
Next, we have the appointment of our treasurer, Lisa Howes. I'll open the floor for
Is that a motion?
nominations.
I make a motion, right?
These are
Yes, no
motions.
nominations, just motions.
Yeah,
are
it's a
motions.
motion.
Right.
So I'd make a motion that we appoint Lisa Halls as our treasurer.
Second.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and second that we appoint Lisa Howes as our treasurer.
Yes.
Any discussion on that motion? Although, do you want a roll call vote on this? No. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes with a unanimous vote.
Okay.
Next, we have the appointment of our clerk.
So
Kelly
I would
Fisher.
make a motion that we appoint Kelly Fisher as clerk.
I'll second that.
Moved and second that we appoint Kelly Fisher as clerk. Any discussion on that motion?
No.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. Next, we have the appointment of Tom Albertson, Lisa Howes, Kelly Fisher as authorized agents for Lake Ponderay School District. Do we have a
I will
motion?
make a motion to appoint Tom Albertson, Lisa Howes, and Kelly Fisher as authorized agents for Lake Ponderay School District.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we make the appointments as stated in the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Next, we have the appointment custodian of records, Kelly Fisher. I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
I'll make a
I
motion.
make a motion to appoint Kelly Fisher as the custodian of records.
I'll second it.
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded that we appoint Kelly Fisher custodian of records. Any discussion on that?
No.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion is adopted. Next, we have a declaration of candidates elected as trustee. And
Is that what
I
you
guess we
read?
do, I
Did
guess
you
we
read
do
this
need a
declaration?
motion for that.
I would make a motion that we declare the 5 trustees here as,
Can I
let-
ask
As
a question?
elected.
Question.
is this what you're asking us to read?
No, I'm just asking you to make a motion to approve the declaration of candidates elected as trustees. It's, you're
Oh.
declaring that the commission, they commissioned yours and Pearlie Decker's election and votes
Oh, okay.
in November, so now you're declared
You go ahead
officially
and
as
make that
trustees.
motion. It's about Pearlie and I.
Yes.
So I move that we declare Pearlie and Geraldine as duly elected trustees.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the motion as stated. Any discussion? No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and it gives me an honor to give you the certificate of election here.
Thank
I'll
you,
mention Pearlie.
Chair
You
Kelly.
too, and let me tell you, it's very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got you.
Good show.
These are new.
It's new.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. We were a little confused.
They put a couple in there. Next, we have the Code of Ethics, and you should each have a copy before you. And
Yeah.
I will entertain a motion to adopt the Code of Ethics. It's part of our policy that we have already adopted, but it's on here just to
We renew it
reiterate
yearly.
renew it.
I make a motion that we adopt the code of ethics for school board members.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the code of ethics that's before us. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that is adopted. And before you leave, please sign the code of ethics that you have. Next, we have notice of posting of location for our meeting. I think they're pretty much the same as they were
You
last year.
have L, I think we skipped over one, the board meeting locations and dates.
Oh, right. Okay, board
Yes.
meeting location dates, and
I make a motion that we approve the dates for our board meetings for 2020-21 as listed here. I'm not going to read each one.
yeah.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the board meeting locations for 2020, 2021. Any discussion?
Discussion,
Yes.
as a working person, and Lonnie also, I would prefer that we move the meetings back to 6 o'clock.
Okay. You want to make a motion?
Maybe we can have some, is there any,
We
discussion on it?
need a motion to discuss it, and then
okay,
we discuss it.
I'd like to move that we approve the dates, but move the time back to 6 o'clock.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to keep the same dates, but the time to move it from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Okay, discussion on that. Okay.
I prefer to
personally-
keep it at 5.
I like it the way it is. It is, I think it's better for people coming. It's, it doesn't interrupt the dinner time as much. You can
Well,
start at 5 and be over at 6, people can get home.
It's better for working people who work until 5 o'clock, including myself, not to leave work early, but to come after work. I think that would also apply to patrons who want to come to the meeting. I think some of them are discouraged because the meetings begin when they're still
I
at
have
work.
not heard of anybody that's discouraged from coming to our meetings. And you can see the attendance of the public at our meetings. So I don't think that's a major consideration.
I think
And
it's
when
easier
we
for
have
families
something
and kids
of
to come
interest,
earlier.
if people come, if they want to come, they'll come. We've seen that every week when they come with kids to be recognized. Somehow, if somebody wants to come to a meeting, they can get here at 5 o'clock. I mean, that's my experience.
What's Lonnie's, you're the other worker called out?
It really doesn't, it doesn't really make much of an effect on my day. I schedule around it. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal for me. I
Schedule out 15
mean,
minutes early for
I-
it, yeah.
I work a lot of hours anyways, so it doesn't, my schedule's pretty flexible in terms of stuff. I mean, I don't wholeheartedly disagree with, there's some people that don't have as flexible a schedule as I do. Even though my office is open till 5, I'm able to get out of there early if need be. I'm sure that there's some people that don't have that ability, but at the same time, I would tend to agree that if there's something that people want to get here for, they'll get here for it. That's my own. We had meetings at 6 o'clock and nobody showed up for them either.
I think another thing is it gives us the opportunity to have executive session after the meeting. And it
Yeah,
won't go
that's
that
true.
late.
Yeah.
Because they can start at 6 o'clock.
It doesn't really affect my
So
day.
if you started at 6 and you have executive sessions afterwards, then you're getting in at 7, 8 o'clock at night. And I think we're better off doing
What's
that.
Curtis doing?
Well, I prefer the 5 o'clock one.
Okay, well, we have any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of basically changing the time of the meeting from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock,
I don't think the
please
motion
say
was ever
aye.
seconded.
Correct.
I vote yes.
Sorry, Chair Kelly,
Oh,
the motion was never seconded.
Okay, do we have a second on the motion? I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. Okay, then without a second, the motion fails.
So now you're still calling for a vote on the original motion?
Yes, we do have a vote on the regular motion to accept the dates and time as listed there. Is there any further discussion on that? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that passes.
Okay.
Okay, next we have notice posting locations. Is there any changes to that, Cliff?
No.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we accept the same 4 posting locations that we've had previously: the administrative office for LPOSD, Sandpoint City Hall, Bonner County Courthouse, and Ponderay Event Center.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we pass the listing of notice posting locations as listed here. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have consent agenda.
I would make a motion that we approve a consent agenda.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as published here. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion is carried. Next, we have information, announcements.
Yes.
Superintendent.
Melanie, I know this is very impromptu, but if you could please stand. And if you noticed on the consent agenda, Melanie Almeida is resigning as
Aye.
our HR senior personnel department. And I just want to take this time, if you don't mind, I will let you tell the board what your next venture brings to you.
Sure.
Okay, why don't you go ahead?
So thank you. It's really important to me to make sure that you know that this decision, my decision, is not a reflection of any dissatisfaction with the district. I've been very happy here. I've been well supported. I think our leadership does a really fantastic job, and I appreciate your leadership as a board to support our community. And I have accepted an HR position with Bonner General Health, so I'll still be local and still be around.
Terrific.
Congratulations.
Good. Congratulations.
And I would just like to add, over the last 5 years as principal of Sandpoint High School, I relied heavily on Melanie. She always had the right answer. Her professionalism, her kind voice, and how she handled every tough situation in HR, even when it may not be a tough situation. I can't say enough, and how much I'm going to miss you working with you as an administrator of Lake Pond School District, and that you have always just been a rock for us in HR, and wish you the best of luck in your next venture. And jokingly, I think there's going to be a statute of limitations. You can't take any employees for 3 years. So I think we signed that. There's a signed document. You cannot steal any employees for 3 years. But
Small print.
anyway, I really, there's not enough words right now to say thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed working with you.
Yeah, come
So.
step forward. We'd like to.
Thanks, we'll shake your hand.
It's not why I came tonight, by the way.
I know. We'll just, the crowd can stay seated.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a mission. We really are.
What's her last day?
Friday this week, actually.
Oh my goodness. Well, I had heard the behind the scenes rumors, but.
Oh, okay. Best of luck.
No, that's good though. I'm excited for your new position.
Yes. Other announcements, obviously we have to watch the weather carefully and
Yeah.
make those tough calls. And again, we're such a diverse county that when Pearlie's getting 11, 12 inches of snow, we might be getting 3 inches over here. So it's always one of those
Yeah.
calls. And I just want to say thanks to James Kohler, Transportation Department, and working with the county road crew. We're always in contact, and utmost of student safety is the #1 decision. There's some students at the high school that thought that there would never be a snow day when I was hired to
right.
take this position. Obviously,
proved them
that's
wrong.
proved them wrong. But again, I just want to give kudos to the whole staff of just, and Kelly is the go-to person when it's time to make the call. She's got everything dialed in. She's got every phone number to radio station to the
What time
school
do you have to
messenger.
do that? In the morning?
Eh.
2 a.m.?
No, we always sleep with one eye open and saying, when's James going to call me? It's usually a 3:30. James and I are talking about 3:30 in the
Yeah.
morning, and then about 4 o'clock I let Kelly know that
Can you go over the mechanism? But I know like Monday, you called it early. on
Yeah,
Sunday
that,
afternoon.
that was a
Yeah,
tough one.
sometimes you know, though.
So we were watching that winter storm warning, and it didn't change, it did not change, it did not change. And then James called me, and again, power went out at Sagal School and Southside that night, and then actually south of town got hit pretty hard with a lot of trees. And so the decision is always tough to call it the night before. I was in contact with the superintendent of Westmoreland County and Boundary County, just to say, hey, what are you guys thinking? But it's one of those that if we know it's pretty likely we're going to call it, the families really appreciate the notice the night before, just so they can make arrangements for daycare and places for kids to go. So.
I mean, you're anticipating, you're looking at the weather forecast, but
Yeah.
you're also looking at the road conditions.
Road
So
conditions.
do you rely on James, or do you have contacts at the county
County,
road department?
county talks with James. So one of the worst situations for our buses would be hard packed snow that got rain on top of it, that would cause,
Something
our
like
buses don't do well on ice that's got water on top of it. If it's down to the gravel, it's slushy, we got heavy buses, they're usually okay. But it's really that compact ice that really is real concerning to James and the drivers. And he's got 2 or 3 people that drive different parts. I take a loop out my direction and drive the loops, and then we just kind of
But like,
coordinate.
use example this weekend,
I'll
still
tell you what,
conditions.
let's end the meeting, we can just
Yeah.
have a
So,
informal
anyway.
discussion afterwards.
Yeah.
Any other announcements you want to?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay.
I have an announcement.
Oh, yes, please.
The Clark Forks track presentations will be this Friday.
It's true.
Friday.
Yes.
Correct.
So you're all invited to
8 to
join
11?
me up at Clark Fork High School at about 8:30.
And let me just remind the board that you have something to sign here. You also have your code of ethics. So before you leave, you need your signatures.
Okay.
With no further business, we stand adjourned.